Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Queen Sugar Season 3, Episode 6, which was titled Delicate and Strangely Made. So, y'all know I'm behind and I'm trying to get caught up. So, I already have episode 7 written out. I'm going to do that in the morning and we will be all caught up with the Queen Sugar recap. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, Aunt Vi wants to play strong all the time, but she keeps calling everyone else needing help to bake these pies. And I don't know what didn't happen with her help, whatever the girl name was that was coming in and helping her. But it seems like she has to keep relying on Nova and Charley and everybody else to do stuff for her. So in this episode, she's calling on Nova again, and she wakes Nova up, telling her to come help her because she has a big order of pies to get out. And so after Nova tells her, I can't keep coming because I'm trying to write a book and I need time to write, but Aunt Vi wasn't hearing it. She was like, get up and come on. So when they hang up the phone, Nova gets a text from Remy. So we can see all these R's going along the phone. So I guess they've been texting each other all day and all night. So over at the church kitchen, Nova and Remy are still texting every 5 seconds, and Aunt Vi is taking notice, but she ain't saying nothing at that point. And so Nova uses the opportunity to talk with Aunt Vi about her dreams and, what did she envision for her life. And so Aunt Vi gets to talking, and then Nova's like, wait, I need to write this down. And so she goes, and I'm thinking she's about to pull out that notebook that Remy bought her, or that journal where he was telling her she should write her thoughts down. But Nova comes back with a recording device, and so she starts recording Aunt Vi, and so she was just basically saying how, her mom raised her to be a mother and a wife, but she always wanted something more. And so Nova asks her, oh, so you wanted to be a businesswoman all along? And so she says, no, I just knew I wanted something more, because she was so envious of Ernest, because Ernest had the farm and he was taking care of the farm, and that was like something big that he could get into that was all his. And that was what she always wanted, and now she has that with the pie business. And so she tells Nova that even though she was kind of envious of Ernest, it also made them stronger and have a better bond, because then she could help him with the farm. And that, that's all that she's really hoping for with his children, for them to stop fighting and bickering all the time and actually work together for the common good of, getting the farm and taking care of that and keeping the legacy going. So then Aunt Vi started like squeezing her hand like that, and Nova comes running around, asking her if she's okay. And they start talking about the lupus, and then Aunt Vi lets Nova know, like, I don't want you mentioning in your book about my lupus. I don't want any signs of weaknesses. And Nova was like, well, it's not a sign of weakness. Like, you're a strong woman. You're starting your own business at the age of, you're almost 60. And, and the fact that you're doing it all after being diagnosed with this disease, but you still holding it down. But Aunt Vi was like, no, people would see it as a crutch and a weakness, and she didn't want no part of that. So I'm like, Lord have mercy. So Aunt Vi finally lets Nova know that she ain't blind when she tells her, like, don't be overworking my dough. with whatever it is that you're struggling with inside. And so this came after Nova's phone had rung, and then she got like hurry up and rush back over to the side where the she had laid the phone down on the table. Later, the two are taking a break, and Aunt Vi lets Nova know that Hollywood is not feeling her new diet, because Nova was asking her how the food was turning out, because she's doing like a plant-based diet, and she's like, Hollywood ain't having it, so she got to find some kind of balance. And she says that, Hollywood is focused on a wedding and, helping her, that Hollywood is focused on a wedding and taking care of her, and she's focused on her business. And so the manager of the grocery store has invited her to dinner, and that is her whole focus right now, is her business and her pies. So Aunt Vi is trying to be Superwoman and about to run off her Clark Kent is what it's about to come down to. So Nova's phone goes off again, and Aunt Vi finally speaks up, and she tells Nova, it's okay to give herself permission to fall in love again. And I can't wait till she finds out that it's Remy that Nova about to fall in love with. So the dinner that Aunt Vi was invited to turns out to be a sales pitch by the manager and of the grocery store and his wife. And so they were basically telling Aunt Vi that they want to invest in her business so that they can help her make her dream come true, because when they were younger and they had opportunities, they didn't act on them. And so he kind of like got stuck in the grocery store. And they talk about how when he started working in the grocery store, he was actually, I think, a bag boy, and then he worked his way up to become, I guess, the general manager. So Aunt Vi sitting there, and so the guy said that he wanted her face on the box of the pie, like for marketing. And Aunt Vi sitting there talking about, now you ain't talking about putting my face on the box like that Aunt Jemima on the pancake box. And I'm just like, did she really just sit there and say that? But they were like basically saying, like you will be the face of the business, it'll be your pies, your recipe, and then we would like use our business expertise to help you expand and grow. And so Aunt Vi, she's sitting there because, she got some control issues, and this is her business, these is her pies, and she ain't trying to share nothing with nobody else. And so the guy tells her, well, we'll put together a contract, and then, we'll have you look over the contract, and if we can come to favorable terms, then we can go ahead and get this started. So Aunt Vi was like, okay, she'll think about it. So then we move over to Charley. So Charley continues to wallow in her self-pity over the news about Davis having a love child. And so when Michael comes down for breakfast before heading out to school, she's sitting in the kitchen searching the blogs and all the news sites for articles about Davis, because I guess it was like big news, that Davis then got caught cheating and got this baby. And once again, I'm going to say, we don't know what's going on with Davis and his basketball career. So I don't even know why this would have been big news, because Davis ain't stepped foot on no basketball court since that day when he was playing in LA and Charley ran out on that court and cussed him out and jumped on him after the story broke about him and the girl, the video of him at the hotel with the girl. So why he would be in the blogs, I don't know. But anyway, Charley's still sitting there, and so she's like trying to fold the stuff over, and Michael's talking about, we don't have no milk, so I guess Charley done broke down and bought milk after them kids talked about her almond milk. So Michael was like, well, don't worry about it, I'll get something to eat when I get to school. So meanwhile, Jacob and everyone else are blowing up Charley's phone, and I'm not sure if Charley is too embarrassed to answer the phone or she just doesn't want to be bothered, but she's dodging calls from Jacob, from her mama. Anybody that called her phone, she ain't answering the phone. And so even later in the show, Nova comes by, after she hears the news, and so she's there, to provide a shoulder for Charley to cry on, but Charley like basically cut her down to the core and say, I don't need to hear a lecture from you or you telling me I told you. I just need you to leave me alone and go on about your business. And she walked right on in that house, didn't invite nobody inside or nothing. I was like, dang, Charley. But she cannot dodge the news no matter how hard she tried, because when she left out the morning that her and Micah were talking, which was actually earlier in the day before the Nova incident, she gets in the car, cranks it up, and the Breakfast Club was on. So who would be the donkey of the day but Davis? So Charley's sitting there like, God dang, I cannot escape this no matter how hard I try. So if matters couldn't get any worse, she spots the guy. Remember when she was, I think it was in episode maybe 3 or 4, where she was at the bar hanging out. Now this was before her and Jacob had the kiss. It was another time, I think they were at the bar and they were talking and laughing and stuff. And so these guys had walked up. And so one of those guys, she spots him on the side of the road. And remember, Jacob said that they were with the EPA, and that's why they were kicking all these people off the land. So Charley pulls over and goes over to talk to him and was like, oh, you know, you're with the EPA. And the guy was like, no, I'm a surveyor. And Charley was like, well, what are you surveying? Because this land belongs to a family friend, Prosper Denton. Do you know him? And the guy was like, no, I'm out here for the Landrys, and I really can't tell you what we're doing. And so no matter how Charley tried to press him, he wasn't going for it. He was like, ma'am, I can't give you any information. So then Charley asked for his business card, and he looked at her, and then she said, it's just a business card. So he finally broke down and gave Charley the card. So when she leaves there, she heads over to the investigator lady house, whose name I didn't know, but it was bothering me. So I went and looked it up on the IMDb site. So I'm assuming her name is Deborah. It was a white lady on there whose name was Deborah, and I think it was her. They don't really look alike, but I think that's who it is. So Charley shares the information that she learned about the land, and you know, why would they be surveying the land? What are they really up to? And she also, the Deborah lady has some information for Charley, and she hands her like this big book, but I never did figure out what the book was, what was in the book. So then she starts talking to Charley, you know, and letting Charley know, well, I heard the news about Davis and I'm sorry. And so, you know, Charley was being kind of snippish and everything. So finally she breaks down and opens up about her feelings on the matter just a little bit. She lets Deborah in just enough. And so Deborah tells her, you know, you can't change what Davis did. You can only find peace with it. So like, stop beating yourself up about what somebody else did. So then we move over to Micah. So Micah's dealing with the fallout of his father's secret little love child. So the kids are teasing Micah and picking on Micah about, you know, his papa being a Rolling Stone. And so Kiki walks up and tells him, you know, don't let them kids stress him out, because by lunchtime, a new celebrity story will be done broken. They'll be done moved on to something else. So Michael's still moping around, and he's like sitting on the railing in the stairwell when one of the kids, the one from the last episode who said that his brother was in the prison, so he walks up and, you know, he's trying to talk to Micah and telling him, you know, everything was going to be okay. And he tells Micah, you know, his mom told him that sometimes you just have to let it hurt, whatever it is. And so he invites Micah to hang out with him and his crew after school. So as Micah's hanging out with his new friends, Kiki is calling and Micah is ignoring her phone calls. And that can never be a good thing. And so the Asha girl is there, you know, still hanging out with this group of boys, which I don't know why, but it seems like it's always that one girl that's always with the boys. So, but I don't, Asha doesn't strike me as a type that would be like sleeping with any of them or doing anything like that. And so all I can say is Micah better not let Kiki find out, because she doesn't strike me as a very forgiving person. So they're out at this abandoned lot. I don't know if it was a car lot or if it was like an abandoned building, but they were there and they're dancing and listening to music and everything when this truck rolls up on them, and it's these two white guys, and they have like a Confederate flag in the back window and one attached to the radio antenna or something on the front of the car. And so they're like yelling at them about all white lives matter and why don't they go back and all this other crap, you know, how the white folks be doing. So then Asha, what did she say? Asha said something like, oh, they ain't gonna do nothing, they're just running their mouths. And then one of the guys was like, you black bitch, what did you say? And I was like, oh, heck no. So then Micah put his hands up and tell the other kids he got this. And so he walks over to that guy and he was like, say it again. And then he snatches the flag off the, I say it's the radio antenna, but you know, in the old cars, they used to have a radio antenna, but I think the flag, maybe the flag was attached to the radio antenna, because I think when he snatched it off, it was just the flag, wasn't no stick or anything. And so he takes it and throws it down on the ground, and, you know, he was like, say it again, you know, so the guys, they like sped off. But then right after they sped off, the owner of the property came up, and so he was yelling at them like, what are y'all doing on my property? Y'all get on out of here before I call the police. And I'm like, not that he's saying get, like he talking to some stray dogs that done ran into his yard. And I'm just like, I've never experienced anything like that before, but I can just imagine how hurtful that is to our young kids, that, you know, even after all the civil rights struggle and everything that black people have gone through in this country, that we still have kids that are enduring the same hatred that our parents and our grandparents endured in the like in the 20th century and the end of slavery in the 19th century. And it is just like so crazy to me, you know. So they, you know, got their stuff and then they rolled on out. Then we move over to Darla. So Darla has a whole house, y'all. Like a whole house with a front porch, a back porch, a backyard. It's partially furnished. Blue gonna have his own room, and Darla got Blue over at the house, picking out, you know, how he want his room to be decorated, whether he want a bunk bed or a single bed. Just like, where did Darla get this house from? Where is Darla getting her money from to pay her bills? Like, is her mama and daddy setting her up? What is really going on with Darla? And then I think somebody on Twitter mentioned that Darla was working for the for the company that was sponsoring her with her drug addiction, but I'd have missed that part of the show if they did say that that's how Darla was getting her money. But I just can't picture no nonprofit paying her like to be living like she's living, to be able to get into this house and get everything set up if that is the case. So Darla tries to talk to Blue, you know, about cutting up in school and why he pushing kids off the swing set. But then Blue deflects from the question and says, I want to go see the backyard. And then Darla was like, well, no, let's talk about this. But Blue jumped up and ran outside. I'm telling y'all, that little boy is getting so out of hand. So they go outside, and so Darla lets Blue know that she registered for an accounting course. So maybe Darla don't have a job and she can go back to school. So she uses this as an opportunity, you know, like a segue to get Blue to talk about why he cutting up in school. So he finally breaks down and lets her know that he was being tormented by the little boy that he pushed off the swing, because the boy kept teasing him, saying that the reason his mama left was because she didn't love him anymore. But Darla assures him that that is not the case, that, you know, she loves him, that he's her heart, you know, she would never walk away. And then Blue also shares that because Ralph Angel always says that, you know, she has an illness or mommy's sick, mommy had to go away because she's sick, that he started to think that maybe she was never coming back, like maybe, you know, she was about to die or something, I guess. And I can understand how he could feel that. Like, they should have just went ahead and told Blue that Darla had a drug addiction. But now they got Blue all in his feelings, thinking that something drastic is happening to his mom or has happened to his mom, when they could have avoided all of this. So while Darla is spending time bonding with Blue, Ralph Angel is making good use of his time away from Blue. And I don't know how Ralph Angel is running a farm, working at that fish plant, and still have time to be going on a bike ride with Trin. But anyway, these two are growing closer and closer by the episode. So I thought it was funny when they were walking the bikes through this park, and Ralph Angel was saying, I think Trin said she had never known the park was there, and then Ralph Angel was saying that his mom used to bring him to that park when he was little. But I felt like as they were having their conversation, like Ralph Angel struck me as the type that always want to one-up you. So like if you say, yeah, I had a red 10-speed bicycle when I was in middle school, then Ralph Angel would be the type of person to say, yeah, I had like a motorbike when I was in junior high school. You know, like that was sort of like how that conversation felt. And so they were just basically talking and sharing stories. So after he said that his mom used to bring him to that park, then they started talking about school. I think she said when she went to college, she was like an art history major, but she knew she had to get a degree in business so she could come back and help the family. So then, he was like, yeah, I can understand what you're saying because, our farm. So they were learning each other and talking, about all this stuff that's going on. And and then Ralph Angel told Trent that he used to run track and that he was so good at running track that his coach told him that he was good enough to make it to the Olympics one day. And I was like, well, when did Ralph Angel run track? Like, this is the first time we heard this story. But then she started asking him questions, and he was talking about how they used to sneak over, I think, to one of the colleges like LSU or somewhere to watch the track teams. And then she said, oh, well, how old were you then? And then he said, oh, I was like 16. And Trent was looking at him like I was looking at him like, Joker, how was you on your way to be an Olympian when you was skipping school, going to a track meet? Okay, y'all just making up stuff as y'all go along right now. So their date ends with them having a kiss, and I guess they were like solidifying the fact that they're now boyfriend and girlfriend. So later that night, when Darla returns Blue home, she's surprised to see like 4 men sitting in the kitchen and they playing spades and drinking beer and alcohol. And then 2 of the guys get into an argument. They jump all up from the table. So the guy Benny, who's been living with Ralph Angel, he runs into the room, to try and break it up. And then Darla was like, what's going on with here? Going on in here? Get out now. And so I think she sent Blue to his room, and then Ralph Angel come running in like, what's going on? And so Darla was like, you got strange men in the house. Like, what are you doing, Ralph Angel? So then Benny was trying to clean up the mess and apologize. But Ralph Angel told him, no, man, you got to go. Like, betrayed my trust. So then after he leaves, the 2 start arguing, and then Blue comes running into the room, and then he was like, telling Ralph Angel, stop yelling at my mommy. Don't talk to my mommy like that. So this pisses Ralph Angel off to the highest level of festivity. So he started yelling and screaming at Blue and told Blue to get his damn ass back in that bedroom. I was like, I ain't never seen Ralph Angel talk to Blue like that. But I guess it's the frustration of holding in that secret that Blue ain't his child has got him about to lose his mind. And so Darla, she's like, Ralph Angel, stop yelling at him. And then Blue runs over to Darla and tells Ralph Angel, I want to go live with my mommy. I was like, oh, these writers doing Ralph Angel dirty right now. So then I think Darla told Blue to go back into his room, and so then they started talking, and she was saying that basically, I want equal time with my son and equal stake in his life. And then Ralph Angel, throws in her face the fact that she told that lie. And then Darla ain't pick up on it in that moment that, he was saying that it was all a lie, that he's not Blue's dad. But then he kind of like pulled back and called himself. So I think Blue ended up leaving and going with Darla that night. So in the end of the show, Charley makes peace, with the whole Davis and his lies and situation. She done started a bonfire in the backyard, and she's burning all the magazines and everything that she had bought. I think it was like the magazine she's bought with those articles in it, or maybe it was some magazines she had laying around the house. But I know it was a bunch of magazines that had Davis' picture on the front. And so she had thrown them in the fire, and she was sitting there sipping on some soup or something. So then Micah comes home, and he comes out back and sees what she's doing. So he just sits down next to her and doesn't really say anything. Then we move over to Nova, and I think Nova was laying in the bed, and Remy was texting her, and so it was like all these texts again, and then finally she picks up the phone and replies back, we can't do this. And then I think the last scene was Ralph Angel. He was in the house by himself drinking a beer, and it was like he was just thinking over everything that had been happened since Darla returned, and finding out Blue wasn't his child, and he was just like, had this sad, pitiful look on his face like, what I'm gonna do now. So guys, that was it. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.